Sebring gave us one of the most stunning battles for the lead in the prototype field that we've seen in a while. And while the Florida track shares its bumpy nature with today's race in Detroit, it shares little else. From a large, wide-open airport down to a tiny, cramped island, everyone's going to have to learn to get along with a lot less space. We'll see how they manage it as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Belle Isle circuit has become a well-established street course since it was first raced in the 90s. To find out what it's all about, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. It's most known for IndyCar's yearly visit, but has also seen IMSA hold rounds here lately. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in the majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with two swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first two turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery, all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer. Well, even though February probably won't feel all that comfortable in the real world here in Detroit, at least in the sim world we get to enjoy it, Adam.
Absolutely, Joe. Well, recent times have made it difficult to erect the raceway on Belle Isle due to public health concerns, and the weather, like you said, in real life is currently 16 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 9 degrees Celsius and snowing. The Kamel Series has taken the solace in the warm, socially distanced embrace of the virtual world to host the beginning of the second half of their season. The Audis will feel most at home here on the island between US and Canada, as almost every turn on this circuit is a 90-degree right angle, making their four-wheel drive and rally heritage a boon as they rocket out of the 14 turns on this 2.35 mile, 3.78 kilometer menace of a track. The Nissans, well, okay, frankly, most of them hate this place. With an extremely rough track surface, high curbs that unsettle the rear wheels, and concrete barriers instead of runoff, it takes a light foot and extreme precision driving to keep the wing machine from taking on severely crippling damage over the course of a 40-minute race. Multi-class is a terrifying affair here as well, considering the barriers, but any straight can be used to pass here, no matter how short, with the only real danger zones being turns 1 and 2, through the fountain section, and the short chute from 12 onto Sunset Drive. All in all, this track is packed with dangers, and the driver who can survive will end up with a good finish here, Joe.
Indeed, and it's been a fascinating one this season as we look at the prototype points. I mentioned briefly about the great battle. Well, Fabian Gerber only took his second win, but it has launched him back to the lead in the points. Nick Schneider had a very poor day and gave away pretty much all of that lead, putting him 4 points behind. Nick Mukanos, Cy Andra, and Jamie Hall all very tight together. Andra is climbing up through the order, and some of his drop weeks will certainly help him out in the next couple weeks as we take those into account. Sean Campbell, rounding out the top 5, has made it a fascinating and close one up at the top. What about the GTO Championship?
Well, Yuko Leskola Yoni Kaijinen missing Monza has left him 41 points in trail of Yuko Leskola. Now, this is before we have the drop points counted in, so he will gain a little bit of time, but he's got to look behind him now, because Escalante is only 13 points back, and it's very tight between him and Ben Lafter with 6 points. Miguel Castro has taken over the 5th position from Reed Miller, who's been having a bad patch of races. Miguel is currently 19 points back of Ben Lafter. But as we've seen with Yoni and Esco, that gap can still close with just actually quite a few rounds left in the season.
Now, we've always got new viewers tuning in, and if it is your first time, welcome. We love these vintage races here on GSRC, but our race details for today are that it is round 8 out of 12 this season, and it is a 40-minute sprint race here at Detroit. Now, it is open setup in this series, but they have no fast repairs. Essentially, many series have a spare car waiting for them if they get damaged. They don't have that here. And they have an incident limit at 17. Will they get a drive-through? I doubt that'll be a problem today, and 25 at a disqualification. Incidents here tend to be very major damage, so unlikely that we'll see many cars actually suffer from a drive-through penalty, let alone a disqualification. Right now, in the qualifying itself, we're waiting for the first few cars to come across the line. This is Fabian Gerber. His brother is the first to put a time in on the prototypes, but Fabian is down to the line just now, which is going to put a 118 flat onto the board, and that is actually almost a second quicker than his brother. He is easily on. Our GTOs are just now swinging in, too.
Absolutely. Yuko Leskola takes provisional pole with a 3-minute 13.8, so that's just about 5 tenths faster than Christian Streitenberger, who, interestingly enough, I don't believe we've seen in this series very often. So Christian now here, racing against Yuko Leskola and Yoni Kaijinen. Yoni has yet to set a time. I think Yuko Leskola actually just off-tracked himself on his second lap, so unfortunately, he's not going to get any faster.
Yeah, I think you're right that this is the first time we've seen Streitenberger on the broadcast. We're watching War Cup in the meantime. His first lap also not going to count. I wonder if he tipped the wall a little bit. That's one that can discount it, even though he haven't had an off track necessarily. Koivisto, in the meantime, puts one on the board, and that'll be 10th place for him at a 22.9. We now take a look at the Buckeye. Joseph Mudrack, his first lap at 20.5, and that will slot him into 8th.
Keeping my eyes on Ove Trangrade, who just set a time. He goes into 3rd position, just 7 1/1000ths off of Streitenberger. So he's now in the 3rd position for the Audis, as he just completed his first lap. Yoni Kaijinen has yet to complete his. Yoni just now going down. He's just now turning on to sunset, so we will see his first representative time very shortly.
Once more, the Dirty Torque teammates right next to each other. They'll fill out the second row as things stand currently. Fabian Gerber went about a 10th faster on his lap, and they only get 2 laps here in the qualifying. Kaijinen is good enough for second, but he's still 3 tenths off of Yuko. Now he'll get his second time around here, which he's currently just started, so he still has enough time to try and topple that pole position. Stephen Warcup, let's see if this one's going to be clean. It is a 20.074. We'll put him into 9th place.
Yeah, the delta between the Audis and the Nissans at this track is 10 seconds for these guys, so they have a little bit of time to work with. The gap is not that big between the classes, which, I mean, 10 seconds may seem like a lot, but at other tracks we go for at the in the Camel Series, it can be up to 20 seconds. So as Mudrack comes around, that's a 120.125 faster lap for him. John Keefe does improve as well, a 120.203. So it looks like the tires are heating up for these drivers now that they're out there.
Trangrade, a 10th faster. That'll get him into 3rd, as the first time lap for Roman Pawlowski will be good enough for 6th place. Next up, going to be Martin Krejcik just down the line. Let's see what he can do on these final few corners. It almost looked like he brushed the wall, coming out of 13. Let's see if it'll be clean, and if he goes faster than his 21.6. No, he does not.
Here comes Yoni Kaijinen trying to improve on that first lap. He got very close to the wall a couple of times. He does a 127.294. That is significantly faster. Is it going to stick? No, unfortunately. It does not stick, so he did hit the wall.
As Guillotero comes around on his first time lap, he waited quite a while out here, and he does have enough time to go around for a second one. In the meantime, Koivisto has already completed his times, so he will not do better than his 16th place. Trying to see if any of our other drivers that haven't set a time are not... looks like, yeah, all of our prototypes who haven't set a time are not out on track, so they're not going to be able to get out and put one down.
I do not believe that Alex Moss will be able to make it back to the line in time. He's one of our few GTOs who has yet. He is one of our few GTOs who has yet to set a qualifying time himself. That's Sandro Biondiolio. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to work on that one. Who just crossed the line, and unfortunately, Sandro is currently qualified 16th, which would be last among our qualifying Audis at this time.
Biondolilo, I think, is what that one is. I had the same reaction when I saw it. We're watching De Otero. Guy currently around on his second lap. He does have enough time to complete this with about 30 seconds on the board. Oh, he slides very wide into the first part of the double apex right-hander that is 12 and 13. As he screams down the line, he's trying to improve on a 21-4. Is this going to do it? No, it is not. He also must have touched a wall somewhere, as that is not going to be an improvement. Alex Moss does get to the line, but unfortunately does not count. So before we get to the grid, one other reminder here at GSRC, we pride ourselves in our vintage racing coverage. And if you're watching this right now, we'd like to assume that that's the sort of content that's up your alley. So keep an eye out, because we'll have an announcement coming up soon, a special event that will be happening next Friday that we're sure you won't want to miss. A formal announcement coming on Monday. So stay tuned. Let's go through our starting order here today. It is going to be Fabian Gerber on the pole, with Tobias Gerber, his brother, once again flanking him. That's becoming a trend. Same thing with a trend on second row. Jamie Hall and Philip Lake, the next two, with Nick Schneider starting fifth and Ardo Iamaki in P6. It is Nick Mukanos in seventh, with Fabian Jungbluth in P8 and Stephen Warkup in ninth. Rounding out the top 10, you've got Joseph Mudrack. John Keefe starts 11th, and Heitor Sintes Gando is 12th. Then the inside of the next row is Pablo Suarez with Guy Otero in 14th. And then the last two that put times in is Martin Krajcik and Hideki Koivisto. At the back of that group, it's Carlos Fonseca, Bert Olsen, and Jacob Leon.
Yuko Leskala takes pole for the Audis once again, with Yoni Kaijin lined up alongside him. Ove Trangrade, finally a good qualifying for him, puts him in third, with Christian Streitenberger starting off in fourth, a newcomer to the series. Maxime de Thomason starting off in fifth position with Roman Pavlowski in sixth. Reed Miller's going to start off seventh today with Kike Mengual in eighth. Devin Donne going to start off ninth, with Dominic Bureau rounding out the top 10. Ben Laughter and Fran Toledano are going to start off 11th and 12th. Mike Tupola is going to start off in 13th, with Brian Shanahan 14th. Robin Haypitch 15th today, with Sandro Biondolilo starting off in 16th. Alex Moss 17th. Jamie Hamel-Smith 18th. Then we have David Nichols and Jonathan Main, who did not set qualifying times, rounding out your 20-car Audi field and 39 cars here today.
All right, as we see our leaders now taking off behind the pace car. Remember, it is a very short pace lap here, so they're going to get going quite quickly as the Porsche leads them out of turn 13 and should duck into the entry. Fabian Gerber right next to his brother. Let's see if he can make it win number 3 for the season here at Detroit. He seemed to think he fares well here, and as he takes off, the green flag waves. It's a bad start for his brother, though. Jamie Hall immediately slots into second, and he's going to lose third to Phil Lake as they come through turns 1 and 2. Are we going to be clean off and over the Corvette bridge? It looks good so far. Let's go back to the GTO.
Good jump for Yuko Leskala with Yoni Kaijin right on his tail. Reed Miller has jumped himself into the 7th position right now. Yoni Kaijin's currently sitting in 3rd. These guys are racing very tightly. Ove Trangrade actually in 3rd position, so it looks like Yoni was able to retain that position, but it's very tight behind them. A 3-wide battle as they go to the braking zone for turn 3. It looks like Reed Miller's going to hang on to that position.
But are they going to be able to squeeze through the right-hander? And they do. Ben Laughter up into 9th as Donaghy and Bureau slot back behind him. As you can see, our leader still has Yuko up at the front and Kaijinen following behind. They come onto the backstretch alongside the river where they stream down towards turn 7.
Yeah, fantastic driving for all these guys to stay clean right now at the front of the field. It looks like the Nissans have done so as well. Everyone taking it very cautious here on the first lap. That's something we don't see very often here at Belle Isle for the Kamel GT series, but it looks like not many people trying to make too many moves on this first lap right now.
Fabian Gerber making good use of his lead. He's already stretched about 1.2 seconds over Jamie Hall, as his brother Tobias, still back and forth, is not able to challenge both of the Dirty Torque drivers. They come through 1 and 2 for the second time now, with the tires finally fully up to temperature, and should be a little bit easier as they all get right up close to the wall over that hump.
Phil Lake taking a look to the inside of Jamie Hall. Is he going to try and outbrake him? No, he's not. Jamie very confident on the brakes, able to get through turn 3 very effectively right there. Great job from Jamie. He did clip the inside curbing a little bit, which made the exit a little bit sketchy, but he was able to keep his foot down just enough to stay ahead of Phil Lake. Phil struggling to get himself into rhythm right now as they go through the tight winding sector that's going to bring them on to Strand Drive.
It's been a while since we've seen Phil Lake at the top of the charts at the checkered flag and the prototypes. He won so many over in the GTOs, and then found himself having to reacclimate here to the quicker cars. Right now, he continues to hound his teammate Jamie Hall through the fountain section. We jump back, though, to our GTOs. 6th place is being challenged to Thomason, has Roman Pawlowski very close behind. In fact, I almost think these positions may have changed hands earlier this lap. I'll have to double check on that. A little wide into the fountain section for de Thomason, but he won't be under attack into there. Behind them, don't forget Mengual, who is making it a 3-car fight.
Yeah, it was actually Reed Miller who was able to get past Thomason, so Roman Pawlowski is looking to try and follow Reed through. But it's so hard to pass around here in the Audis. There's just a couple of places where you can do it, this being one of them if you can get a good exit out of the fountain section. But especially out of turn 2, down to turn 3, is the best place to pass in the Audis around here at Detroit.
As they come onto the front stretch one more time. Not quite straight, as it's got a quick kink just leading on the finish line as they cross it. Thomason certainly seems to be able to pull away from Pawlowski, but I think Mengual might have a good run here if he could just exit off of the Corvette bridge, and he does. Pawlowski is going to keep him at bay as they break down into turn 3.
Yeah, and as with any race, any sort of circuit here in the Kamel series, it's really going to be the traffic that's going to define these guys. Fabian Gerber currently only about 6 seconds behind the slowest of the Audis right now, and about 20 seconds behind our battling pack back down in 16th, 17th, and 18th with Jamie Himmel-Smith, Jonathan Main, and Alex Moss. So they're going to have a lot of work to do. We're going to take a look at Yoni Kaijin, though, because he's fallen a second off of Nico Leskola and is currently under very heavy threat from Obi Trankrate as they go into the fountain section.
Indeed. And our newcomer, Streitenberger, is in there. Basically, the top 4 starting to pull away from the rest of the fields, but really the closest among them, as you mentioned, is for 2nd place. That is Kaijinen in the dark-colored Audi with the white machine belonging to Ove Trangrade. We hop on board with Yoni now as he watches through his rear wing, looking back at Trangrade coming across the line to start lap 4.
Ove's been very hungry for good competition today. He put some on earlier this morning, and he's going to put some on here, I think, with Yoni Kaijin, because Kaijin seems to be a little bit struggling with his setup right now. Seems to be a little wily for him. Ove Trangrade looks a lot more calm and composed, but that depends on what's going to happen later on in this race as they start to make their way through turn 3 and see whether or not these setups, a looser setup is definitely going to be a little bit more comfortable to get further on in this race, because a tighter setup will mean it's going to be more difficult to turn through the center of the corner for the Audis.
You can see just how much they've split off of those behind them here on this camera shot. Yeah, we barely get a glance at 5th place Reed Miller, how much they've left them back down along the river once again. Kaijinen not going to be under threat this time unless he makes a major error into the fountain section. So we jump back to the prototypes where suddenly it is really closed up, and I think this is because of some of the traffic. Schneider, Iamaki, and Nick Mukanos. My goodness, nothing separating these 3.
Absolutely, these 3 very tight together. Look at this. That's Arno Iamaki looking to the inside of Schneider, trying to say, hey man, if you don't brake hard enough, I'm going to be right up there on the inside. Nick Mukanos looking on as well. They were all held up behind David Nichols, currently our slowest Audi on track. as Sandro Biondolillo has actually taken to the pits for repairs, so he definitely hit the wall, or they definitely hit the wall earlier in this race. So Nicholas Ardo and Nick are very much battling for each other right now. And look at this, Nicholas Picano with actually a pretty good run off of turn 6, so he's running down to turn 7 in the fountain section, trying to catch up to the back of Ardo Yamaki. Ardo hard on the brakes.
Get the shot there. Poor Nick Schneider now has lost the championship lead and is down in 5th compared to his rival Gerber, who's leading the way. If things stay how they are, he's going to lose quite a bit. He has 1 win to his name compared to Fabian's 2 so far this season. A very joyful win for the number 6 at Monza. Certainly helped him, but he's going to have to keep up the consistency and find some speed as he comes around. And on top of it, we just saw at the top of your screen, Fabian Gerber just at the fastest lap of the race.
Fabian definitely setting the pace right now, but look at this. We're looking out the back of Nicholas Schneider's machine with Ardo Yamaki and Nick Picanos. It looks like Ardo definitely has taken a little bit more wing than Nick Picanos has, I believe that Nicholas Schneider has. You can see him very aggressive as they go to the braking zones and through the low-speed sections as he tries to use that extra downforce to try and do some power here. But let's go to Fabian Gerber because he's about to catch some traffic, Joe.
Yep, just went by John Main. And then up next, it's going to be Alex Moss, and he gets a little bit of a breather before he reaches more of our GTOs. Unfortunately, he's going to get him here at some of the tightest and slowest corners. So will he be held up behind him? The good news for him is that Hall and Lake are also having to deal with that traffic as they weave through the fountain section. Just behind Alex Moss. Doesn't get him here, which means it's pretty much single file through 12 and 13. Finally, he's going to be released as he accelerates off of turn 13, just pips by before 14.
He lost a lot of time there to Jamie Hall during that exchange. I can report that Guy Diotero had a self-off at the end of the Strand Straight going into turn 7. He just outbraked himself, unfortunately hit the inside wall. He is now in the back of the field. Oh, it looks like our 4th place driver, Christian Streitenberger, has had a problem in the GTOs.
Indeed, he's lost out. Well, no, how did he get ahead of Pavlovsky? Wasn't he behind just a moment ago?
No, he was ahead. He was tucked in behind Ove Trengrade, Joe.
Oh, that's right, yes. So this was about 40 seconds ago.
Coming out of turn 6.
Another unforced error. The 16 just took it too hot down into turn 6. Yeah, you'll see it here in a moment.
This is so easy to do, Joe, in the GTO because the walls are so close and you're trying to put the power down, use that 4-wheel drive to its maximum efficiency. So as you see, he's already pushing it there on the edge of traction. He's going to come out of this corner. He clips the outside wall just a little bit and then bounces off there and then just loses the car into the barriers. He should be able to keep going, but that's going to affect his straight line speed and his turn-in with that left front damage.
Unfortunately, the Tic Tac car gave a breather to Ove Trangrade. With no pressure on him now, as that car has got to make up quite a bit of ground. Currently fighting with Roman Pavlowski for what is the 6th position here, and 30 minutes left to go. They haven't been hit by the traffic yet, which will be coming up quickly, and here's some big traffic coming through 1 and 2. This is, oh no, and into the side of Alex Moss, who bounces off, and poor Stephen Warcup is the one who gets caught out as the 15 just unfortunately finds himself all tangled in the mess of traffic here in Kamel.
Ardo Yamaki takes a very advantageous, self-advantageous line through 2. He just sticks his nose in there, and I mean, where's Alex Moss supposed to go? He's got to hit the apex at some point. Ardo just sticks his nose in there right at the apex of the corner, and Moss just, unfortunately, gets absolutely sent into the outside wall.
Moss is going to try and start it and get it going, but he's in a perilous position. There we go. Now he's on his way, but it's a long trip around to the pits in a car that looks like it could barely get to top speed. As we...
Oh, we've had another wreck. Heitor Sentes Guindo has made contact with Mike Tupola. Those two guys making contact as they were coming through 7.
And you know what? I think Mike was a bit of an innocent victim on this one. Yeah, you're going to see Sentes Guindo manage to get to the inside. It's very clean, but then he outbrakes himself, and Mike's not aware that he's locked up to his right side, and unfortunately, is going to bounce into him.
And once again, the battle for second position in the GTOs is still very close with Ove and Yoni Kaijinen. They've actually caught up to the back of their own class right now.
Yeah, that's the likes of Dave Nichols up in front of them. Look at how close he is. Does he dare try to send one up the inside? No, he does not. It is a long braking distance. Dave's tries to pull the outside, but both are going to have to give him lots of space just as he blinks. Internet connection making everything all the worse.
Oh, absolutely terrifying for those drivers trying to make it work through the fountain section. That's actually given Yoni Kaijinen a little bit of a breather here. Yuko Leskola is about 2 seconds up the road from these guys. I can report Fabian Jungbluth in the GTPs is in the pits. He got a little bit of damage from Alex Moss and his incident with Arda Iamaki, so unfortunately he's in the pits for some repairs. But Ove Trengrade and Yoni Kaijinen still very tight together, but Yoni with a little bit of breather.
Iamaki just had contact just now with Nick Mukanos. This was in the fountain section. How did they get side by side in there? I just cut over in time. Oh, you know what? Wow, look at this. Traffic just stops everybody up, and as they get bottled up, Mukanos tries to take advantage. Iamaki was not aware of what was going on and just kind of drifts into him.
I'm pretty sure that Nick Mukanos is very concerned about trying to pass Arda Iamaki at this point, considering all the behavior he's seen on track so far. So Nick's going to have to get by here. They've got Devin Donnie up ahead of them. How is he going to get this done? I guess it's going to be 3 wide down the front stretch. He manages to get through, but man, Ardo is severely down on pace, and now we've got up to the real thick traffic with the GTOs.
Our Lady of Blessed Arrow damage helped out Nick Mukanos as Ardo Iamaki was just horribly slow in a straight line with all that puck on the right side. So that put paid to that. In the meantime, Tobias Gerber and Nick Schneider are together. Now, Tobias...
Oh, no, sorry. We've had a big incident between Hideki Koivisto and Guy Deotero. This was going into turn 3, side by side, and Guy is even more damaged than he had before.
They're going to be down. Oh, already a little bit of contact on the way in. Then he sends it in deep. Tries to go around the outside, and oh, he just gets bumped enough that he's going to bounce off those tires and has to get it going. He's been having a very bad day.
And Joe, it looks like Ove Trengrade has passed Yoni Kaijinen. I believe this was possibly through the fountain section.
Yeah, it was just out of the fountain section about 50 seconds ago, I think. Trengrade is...
Oh, this was a misshift from Yoni.
Yeah. You're going to see it here on the exit of the corner. Just got a box full of neutrals. Kaijinen is just going to miss it. Oh, and he gets a big shove from behind. You can see there as the car lurched. Just took advantage of it and Trengrade up into second.
We've got to go to the lead in the GTPs because Fabian Gerber's lost a ton of time to Jamie Hall and Phil Lake. The 2 Dirty Torque drivers now on the back of our current championship leader as they head to the fountain section to the inside of Reed Miller, who's in 4th place in the GTOs. Phil Lake's going to have to actually back out of it. So this frees up Jamie Hall to challenge Gerber unabated.
That certainly slowed up Gerber into this portion of curves as well. As they come out of there, though, Gerber looking strong on the throttle compared to Jamie Hall. So that's going to manage to gap himself to the number 7. And once again, a little bit of wheel spin coming out of 13 for that bright yellow car. So he catches up in the traffic, but he gives way when they're all alone.
Absolutely. And we know that Fabian Gerber's race pace is probably second to none in this entire series, but Jamie Hall making use of the traffic. I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the inside of Yoni Kaijinen here. He's going to send it. Oh, man, he has to back out of it there. Yoni giving him just enough room on the apex to get through. Jamie Hall, good job from him to realize that he wasn't going to make it through there and back out of the move. Otherwise, we would have seen something similar to what we saw with Arda Iamaki and Alex Moss.
And that is exactly what Fabian Gerber needed because he was dealing with Ove Trengrade. Got held up down through the 4, 5, 6 complex. Hall gets a nice little pass along the back stretch as Trengrade stays off to the right. But you can see how much distance that's put between P1 and P2.
We also have a battle for P4 in the GT piece as well, and they've got some serious traffic as they go down the back straight. Look at this, 3 wide as they duck through. They're trying to navigate around Christian Streitenberger and Max Maiden Thomason. And Thomason's going to take it deep into the apex. It's almost going to hit Nick Schneider. Nick backs out of it. Great awareness from him to stay out of the side of the GTO there.
Remember, that's forward position between Streitenberger and De Thomason. So as much as Nick wants to get through, he's got to respect that this is also a battle here. As they come out, Nick now has Mukanos right on his tail.
Oh! And we've had a wreck in the back between Ben Laughter and Ardo Iamaki. Ardo's been taken out.
So that is incident number 3, and unfortunately, 3rd time is the charm. He's going to get tipped on the inside. Yeah, I think this higher angle will be perfect here because it's coming out of that final corner. Just the Audi was not aware that he was going to stick his nose in.
Well, also you got to realize that the Audi doesn't have a lot of opposite lock to work with. He has to take that line through the corner in order to get on the exit. And unfortunately, Ardo stuck his nose in there once again, and this time it got cut off, unfortunately, to his detriment.
Had to take a tow after that one. Just too much damage to deal with. They're going to go back to that fight, though, that we're watching before. De Thomason being chased by Streitenberger. That's Mudrat just behind them, 8th in the GTPs, but he's not fighting anybody currently. We can wait here until the back stretch. Is he going to be able to get both, though?
Yeah, I think he will be able to under braking, but it depends on whether or not De Thomason can keep it on the apex here. It's going to be very tight. That's going to be contact between Streitenberger and De Thomason. And here comes Roman Pawlowski to try and take advantage. He's on the inside of Streitenberger and tries to give him room. Oh my goodness, very tense stuff here. Roman Pawlowski trying to find his way through with speed, but Streitenberger trying to figure it out. He's going to get to the inside to Thomason. They make contact off of the corner, and here comes Roman Pawlowski with a better exit, but this is not a place you want to pass. Streitenberger has to duck out of it.
Christian is getting a deep end introduction to Kamel GT today. Qualified very well, but has already been demoted to 7th, and here we go. Pawlowski with a nose inside of De Thomason. That's going to slow both of them up as Christian regains ground with this. 2 wide through 1 and 2. Who is going to get the better launch onto the run? I think Christian is.
Oh, might be 4 wide here. Oh my goodness.
That's Sintez Guindo trying to get his nose in and boxed in. Christian can't get through. He's going to bump the back. Oh, no! And that's going to run Roman into Sintez Guindo. It's not over yet. Here comes a 4th GTO with them. That's Ben Laughter as they go 2 by 2 through the 4, 5, 6 section. Looks like Pawlowski makes the best of it. Overtakes Streitenberger. Behind them, Ben Laughter gets by to Thomason.
Wow, what an insane series of events there. What an amazing series of events. Here they go once again, though, with Roman Pawlowski and Christian Streitenberger going for it as they head towards turn 7. We're on board with Ben Laughter as he tries to chase them down. Max Maiden Thomason's actually trying to set it up the inside. He misses the corner. He's going to get a cut course penalty there. But as we keep looking at this battle up ahead, it's still neck and neck.
Boy, it really was a series of unfortunate events there for Maxime. Wasn't he in 5th place before, and now he's down to 9th. Just with all that happening around him. As we come up to turns 12 and 13, Pawlowski up into P5 with Christian right back on his horse. Try to see if he can challenge the number 19 coming around to the start-finish line one more time.
Christian clipped a little bit of the inside wall there. You can tell he's not quite comfortable with the way that the car behaves yet. Very talented driver for sure. This is a little bit of refining to do on driving this machine. Roman Pawlowski starting to stretch away just a little bit, but with the draft, Streitenberger should be able to hold on.
And all this chaos, a reminder that Fabian Gerber still leads our GTPs and Yuko Leskala leads our GTOs, both of them having started this race on the pole, but we're halfway through already. It has just been non-stop action here at Detroit Belle Isle. We continue to watch the fight between Pawlowski and Christian Streitenberger. Looks like Christian not going to be close enough to attack, but he qualified better. Will he have the pace to try and get right on top of that yellow and green car?
I mean, it's definitely the case that Roman Pavlovsky has a more clean machine than Streitenberger. Streitenberger looks like he's got a little bit of a toe issue at this point and some significant left front damage from that incident we saw earlier. So that could be causing him a little bit of problems right now as he's trying to catch himself back up to the back of Roman Pavlovsky. If he can stay on his back bumper through turns 1 and 2, he might have an opportunity into 3. But it looks like Roman definitely starting to streak away just a little bit. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there on the exit of the 14th there, so this might give an opportunity for Christian if he can stick with him through 1 and 2. Let's see what happens.
This is what I love about covering these vintage series is, oh, as he gets right on top of him, it is no holds bar racing, but it is respectful racing at the same time. Christian gets right up underneath that rear bumper, early braking for Pavlowski. Christian tries to send it in, he gets underneath him, but still Pavlowski is going to be able to fend him off.
Pavlowski locked up the front right tire, trying to make that turn in at speed, trying to cut off Streitenberger. Streitenberger absolutely using the absolute maximum of the course to try and catch back up to Roman. Pavlowski's going to have one more opportunity here as they go into 7. If he can get a good exit here, Roman gets a better one, but Streitenberger going to try it again.
Down along the back stretch and into turn 7. Christian looks way better on the brakes compared to Roman, that's for sure.
Christian way better on the brakes. It looks like Roman has just got a little bit of a better understanding of the vehicle, which is keeping him ahead. This is a fairly even fight at this point, I feel like, between those two drivers.
So right on the gearbox of Pavlowski, looking back at Christian. They come through 12 and 13 one more time. Getting ready to swing onto the front stretch. Ooh, great exit there from Roman Pavlowski just to keep Christian at bay. Now last time though, it happened down into turn 3. Will he get a good exit off of turn 2 over the hump, the infamous bridge? So easy to lose it. Koivisto is behind him, but he's going to wait patiently. It looks like Christian maybe gave a little bit of room on the outside in case, and that cost him.
I think he got a little bit nervous with Hideki Koivisto. Koivisto's going to send it out the inside of Christian, but he's going to separate these two guys, unfortunately. Koivisto gets a bad exit contact, actually, between Streitenberger and Hideki Koivisto, and that's just the case of the Audi having a better exit off the corners than the GTP, so this separates that battle, this long-standing battle that we've been watching.
Yeah, graphic illustration of the difference between
like
the cars.
Bert Olson and David Nichols got into it together on turn 3.
Indeed.
This is the...
Yeah, I think what happened here, it looks like Nichols maybe outbraked himself. You know what? I think he might have been in a fight with Donaghy for position and just sent it a little hard, and unfortunately for the 29, yep, he's just going to punt him out into the runoff, and Bert has to wait a while before he's allowed to get the car going.
It's an unfortunate multi-class event. We're going to see this once more from up top here. We're going to see just how this happens. A little bit of a bump there into the runoff. Unfortunately, he makes some pretty serious rear-end contact with that tire barrier. So, unfortunately, that's probably going to affect his straight lines.
We got to go back to our leaders in the prototypes. Jamie Hall is caught up after Gerber gets mired in traffic. They're both going to manage to sneak by David Nichols. So as they come back around to complete another lap, Hall starts to stretch away yet again. Gerber with clear road in front of him, trying to make do. 15 minutes left to go. The number 2 is clearly having to work hard for this one.
Yeah, and the number 7, while he is gaining, he's really starting to struggle, trying to just keep up pace with Fabian Gerber as they catch up with Kike Miguel and Devin Donaghy, who are still battling from that battle that we just saw in that replay.
And we don't need to go back to the replay of it, but Guillotero got into the back of Phil Lake. Now, Phil, I think, has retained 3rd, but it was a good hit, so hopefully he doesn't have too much damage to that and is able to continue without losing much pace. Meanwhile, more traffic coming down to the fountain section. This could be critical. Mengual up in front of Gerber. He sneaks inside, and Hall eventually gets through. Mengual managing to hold off Donaghy, who was in a fight with him, but my goodness, it is tight.
Yeah, and Jamie Hall hit the outside wall a decent bit, coming through that fountain section, trying to get the car turned around once again. He's just trying to stay on the back of Fabian Gerber at this point. and it's so difficult to do when you've got someone as quick as Fabian. I'm pretty sure that Fabian has a ton of downforce on that machine, whereas Jamie Hall has it fairly trimmed out, and this means that Fabian's definitely quicker through the twisty bits, whereas Jamie Hall is much faster on the straightaways, but it seems like it's not helping him that much. They're catching up to the battle between Dominic Bureau and Maximilian Thomason for the 8th position. Looks like Fabian's going to try and get to the inside of these guys.
And again, that's going to be mission critical. Oh, almost getting into the back of Thomason. Jamie Hall absolutely sent it in, and I thought I saw
Roman Pawlowski.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And contact between Hall and Dominique Bureau.
Major contact. That's a lot of left side damage for Jamie.
And weirdly, there was a car that spun. It was Donaghy. So this is the contact. Oh yeah, the tree unfortunately getting in our way. He just touched the back of him and sent him around. And then Donaghy comes in immediately after him, and almost like he got sent off by just being distracted. There's the initial turn. And where's Donaghy? He should be coming up right now. There he goes.
And a sympathy spin from Donaghy, unfortunately, is compounding his issues that he's had today. I mean, like, this race is going to be one that a lot of these drivers are going to want to forget, Joe.
Meanwhile, back to our leader, Fabian Gerber. He split himself by 5.5 seconds ahead of Jamie Hall just because that one touch goes by both Maine and Laughter. And there is the gap back in the background. There he goes. There is our second place driver, Jamie Hall, also trying to give chase.
Yeah, Jamie, unfortunately, we've got a battle going on between Tobias Gerber and Nicholas Schneider, actually, coming out of turn 2. Nicholas, unfortunately, not quite close enough to catch up to the back of him, but these guys have been battling for quite a while.
Remember, Nick really needs to minimize the damage here. And at the opposite end, Tobias Gerber's story is that he qualified a lot better. Doesn't seem to have the race pace. Sneaking by Donaghy. Schneider gets through. Still costs him a little bit of an offline set of corners as they go by the spinning Roman Pawlowski, who's going to get hit and T-boned. Donaghy with another big incident.
And Roman with another big incident.
Yeah, my goodness, that actually rolls Pawlowski over. Yeah, he was trying to stay to the side because of traffic, and he was just the wrong place at the wrong time.
Man, I mean, you can't have worse luck than those two drivers this race. They've both been sent quite often. Devin, he just had nowhere to go. I think he was just trying to get out of the way of the GTPs, looking in his mirror, and then he looks out his front window and sees the turned Roman right in his way. Man, it's a tough break for both of these drivers.
The irony being, he had timed that pass with the GTP perfectly. You saw how close he was with the over-under. And just, it put him on the wrong line. Oh. Meanwhile, things very tight once again as the lap traffic checked up Tobias Gerber. Nick Schneider is going to have to go the long way around as Toby defends down into turn 3. Can he get the over-under? Not quite.
Tobias, I mean, that's just millimeter perfect braking for Tobias Gerber to stick it up on the inside there. You see just how close he got on the exit on that runoff rumble strip. I mean, fantastic work from Tobias to keep it on there. We're going to jump on board with Nick McConos, who's actually chasing behind these guys now, only about half a second back.
I don't think all three of them are going to get through into the fountain section. 1 and 2, and maybe I'll be proved wrong. Barely 3 getting through. Great heads up by Jonathan Main to let the trio by. Up next, though, to Thomason, who currently sits 7th in class, is spying a fierce battle quickly approaching in his mirrors. What does he do? He's going to stay on the racing line for the time being.
Yeah, and Tobias can't take this move. This move ends in disaster for both parties every single time. As if you try and make that move into 12, it ends in disaster, so he has to wait. But that opens him up to Nick Schneider, who's going to protect him behind him. And here's Nick McConos. It's going to be a 3-car train as we go through 1 and 2. Look at this. Schneider looking to the inside of 1, thinks better of it. He's going to try and set him up through 2 into 3. He's going to try and do it down the front straight here.
Ooh, and I think Mukanos maybe scraped the wall coming over the hump there. neither of them going to get a good enough run to try and attack. So this time there will be single file through turn 3 with Gerber still holding on to 4th, Schneider 5th, and Mukanos in 6th.
Very intense battle from these guys as they try and navigate one of the most difficult sectors of the race course. This very, very complicated 4, 5, and 6 sectors. They go back onto the back straight. Look at this. Mukanos actually with a good opportunity here on Schneider. He's tucked in right behind him, but they're going to catch up to another battle that's going on. This is between Streitenberger and Ben Laughter now.
Christian has been steadily moving downwards. He's gotten himself back up to 5th. And this two-car fight is for top positions. They got to be careful here. I'm keeping an eye on this and also on the battle for 2nd because Hall has been caught by his teammate Lake. I wonder if that's due to damage.
Yeah, based upon what I've seen, it is due to damage, but these guys are way too close to look away from. That's Steinberger and Laughter right ahead of them. That's Laughter that they're trying to get by. Tobias is going to make it by. Schneider's going to make it by. Also going to try and make, oh my goodness, that was close between Schneider and Laughter. Schneider actually hit the inside wall a little bit, making that move. Look at this. Tobias is going to try and go by on the inside. It's going to be close between those two guys. But here comes Nicholas Schneider trying to make the move on Gerber down the front straight.
He pulls the slipstream, pops out to the left, as once again Gerber is forced to go defensive. Can he hold him off once again? Yes, he can. And Nick Mukanos is going to have to hope his car is clean enough. My goodness, 7 minutes now left to go.
That's it, Joe. I mean, this race has just flown by. I mean, for us in the booth, I'm sure it hasn't for the drivers on track. They're probably wondering why there's still 7 minutes left of this thing. But these guys battling neck and neck for fourth place. Last spot on the podium is still 12 seconds up ahead of them. These guys still battling tooth and nail. Nicholas Schneider, oh, he loses it just a little bit going to the corner. Gets a little loose going through 7. Is able to hang on to it. He's super loose as he goes through the fountain section once again.
Costly set of mistakes for Nick Schneider as he loses touch with Fabian Gerber, and now Mukanos is right on top of the rear wing. Both of them exiting the fountain section. Who can hold this together? It is frantic out here right now.
Very cool stuff between these two guys. Tobias Gerber is in a second ahead. Nick Mukanos is really right on the back of him. He's going to look at the inside of one. Oh, wow! A nice big weave from Schneider there as they enter one to try and hold off Mukanos. Mukanos had to put on the brakes heavily to try and avoid contact.
And Phil Lake is side by side with Jamie Hall. He's making him work for it. There is no love lost between these teammates, but Hall can't hold him back, and Phil Lake finally gets himself into P2.
Should be able to run away from it now. Good opportunity to run away from Jamie with Jamie's major damage, but that took way too long for Phil, unfortunately. He's now 14 seconds back at Tobias.
Surprised me a little bit. I thought Hall would know that he's quite damaged at this point, but he went defensive and didn't lift. So as they continue on, no change since we jumped off of our battle for 4th between Tobias, Nick, and Nick.
The two Nicks chasing down the brother of our leader, and these guys battling tooth and nail. They've now caught up to Aitor Santesguinda, who's currently slow GTP. Aitor's actually going to pull over and let these guys go. A nice move from him to try and let them go there. Tobias, Nick, and Nick chasing down, trying to chase down Phil Lake. They have gained a bit. They're only 9 seconds back now.
Looking a little bit more susceptible. Let's see if Mukanos can get the launch off of turn 2. He looks to try and square it off, and it's good, but I don't think it's good enough.
Not quite good enough. He could make a late dive here. He's going to look for it, but no, just a little bit too late. Not quite close enough. This guy's going to have to get a little bit of traffic in there. He'll get it. He should get it once they hit the straight drive straightaway, back straight here. This is going to be interesting because Tobias should be able to make it through. We're going to jump on board with Nick Mukanos once again as we go back onto the back straight.
Nobody ever able to get an advantage enough to go on the attack. Final 5 minutes. The laps do tick off quite quickly. It's a minute 20 around here as they get held up both by traffic in their own class and in the GTOs. That's Donaghy in front of them. Does he dare try and go too wide through here? He thinks about it, almost makes contact with the GTO, and then backs out.
Mucano's trying to score off the corner, but can't quite get it done. He ends up clipping the inside curve instead. Oh boy, that's a sketchy move for both of them. Donne actually backs out of it, which is good because that could end a disaster. So Schneider and Mucanos both getting through. The two Nicks now 1.7 seconds off of Tobias Gerber, but this is Mucanos' best opportunity. If he can get the exit of two good here, he's going to have an opportunity on Schneider, and it looks like he's got a decent run.
He'll pull the slipstream, but is it going to be enough? He starts to reel him in. Schneider knows it. He defends. Mucanos goes to the outside. He's given just a car's width there. Look at that perfect placement for the number 6.
That was very, that had to be a heart and throat moment for Mucanos as he tried to pick it through. This is Reed Miller, 4th place in the GTOs. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's been very consistently sitting up there in the 4th position ever since the early laps of the race. Reed Miller doing a very good job just being consistent and getting to the end of the race. He's one of the very few clean vehicles on this track right now. And no surprise for Mr. Consistency. Nick Mucanos late braking there, trying to get to the inside of Schneider, but Schneider saw him coming.
Yeah, I have a feeling Reed doesn't want to be talked about at all today. Just let him have a calm race. And Tobias Gerber rather has been slowed up by the traffic of Dave Nichols. Oh, this is going to be perilous coming through 12 and 13. He once again checks up, not willing to try and send it too wide through there. Finally, he's able to eke his way through, but the damage has been done. Here comes Nick Schneider. He's going to think about the move to the inside, down into turn 1. It's tough to go too wide through here. He's given space as Tobias Gerber just holds off the line. Now it's going to be a 3-wide situation as they all 3 get enough momentum. Mucanos weaving back and forth, looking to try and find which way is open, but it looks like Nick Schneider gets the best of the 3 of them as he moves himself into 4th, and Mucanos is going to get 5th. Tobias Gerber, one small mistake, and he loses 2 places.
What a great battle between these 3 drivers, absolutely maximizing their on-track presence. Nick Schneider trying to make his car as big as possible to make Nick Mucanos hesitate, and managed to do so. Mucanos getting very loose as he exited 6th onto the back straight, which is going to allow Schneider to run away 1.2 seconds. But he's not out of the woods yet. They've got Joni Kaisen and Ove Trengrade right up ahead of them, who they're still separated, but it's a little bit of a battle developing for that 2nd position through the fountain section.
And it is 2 laps to go. We just had Fabian go past the start-finish line with about 2 minutes left. So next time by, he will get the white flag. And it is a whopping 17 seconds back to Phil Lake right now.
Yeah, Phil tried to do his best, but that contact with Iamaki, I believe it was, Joe, that got to the back of him has reduced his straight line speed a bit. He was faster than Jamie, but unfortunately he decided to keep going. But we got to look at this battle between Joseph Mudrack and John Keefe. These 2 guys now together.
Both of them having taken a bit of a gain. Keefe up from 11th to 4th, and Mudrack from 10th to 8th position. Excuse me, 11th to 7th rather for John Keefe. 4 positions up as they go by Carlos Fonseca, who's going to try and stay out of the way, but is unfortunately not fully cleared by Mudrack by turn-in.
Yeah, very difficult to get these moves done on very slow GTPs. We're going to take a look at Ove Trengrade and Joni Kaisen for 2nd place. Yoni's caught up to him.
This will be interesting as this is happening. A big mistake. Sorry, we got to go to Nick Schneider. He just spun the wheels as Mucanos almost had a nose in, and that was in the fountain section. That would have been an impressive pass. Let's watch it one more time. This would be great from onboard Mucanos.
There it is. Look at him just try and hang on to it. He manages to do so, but goodness gracious, Nick Mucanos having to brake a little bit there to try and make it work. We're going to go back to this battle because look at this Schneider, very slow on the straight line. Nick Mucanos has to stop backing out of it when Schneider makes those moves because otherwise he's not going to get by. Schneider trying to hang on to it. Both of them clip the inside grass. Here they go out of 2 onto the front straight. Let's see whether or not Mucanos can get it done this time.
Nick's rear tires do not look in good shape. He keeps having poor exits off the corner, and Nick Mucanos knows it. He's going to try around the long way here at turn 3, but he gets squeezed out of space, and that means Tobias Gerber has a shot, but it's not a long enough straight.
Not long enough straight at all. Now they go through the technical section. This is where Nicholas Schneider's tires are really causing him problems, but this is where Nick Makanos is trying to cause problems as well, but we're going to take the leader as he's about to take the white flag.
As great as that battle is, this is the man that deserves the recognition today. Fabian Gerber, his third win on the season. He goes back-to-back as he wins both at Sebring and now at Detroit.
And the battle for fourth has just ended in disaster for Nicholas Schneider and in disaster for Tobias Gerber and Nick McConnell. All of them wreck out in the fountain section. I don't know who's going to come home in fourth at this point.
And Yuko, we're going to have to go back and look at that replay in a moment because Leskala, who we haven't really watched, my goodness, the GTOs didn't get much screen time at all. They all spread apart. I'm sure Yuko's okay with that because he's going to get a win of about 15 seconds to the next nearest car here at Detroit.
We're going to go to Ove Trenger and Yoni Kaishin. Yoni Kaishin, unfortunately, with a misshift coming out of 11 onto Strand Drive once again, and loses the opportunity to get second place. Ove Trangrade's going to run away with it and get second off of Yoni Kaishin, who comes home in third.
That's most of our battles, so we got a chance to go back at the replay. I really would love to dissect what happened in the fountain section here. Oh, you know what? It was Gio Taro wrecked in front of them, I think, that kicked it off.
Yes, it was. Unfortunately for those guys, there was nothing they could do seeing it coming, and then Nicholas Schneider gets into it, but this is the weird one. Tobias Gerber gets into the back of Nick McConnell's once that wreck has already happened. That's the strange one for me, Jim.
You know, I think Tobias just had the red mist down, and he felt it was now or never and got into the rear of Mukanos there. But we've got to go to break at some point here. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. We'll have more vintage racing this weekend, but coming up soon, we've got our post-race show here for the Kamel GT series. Welcome back to Detroit. Belle Isle gave us another frantic race, which we kind of expected with Kamel GT, but even still, the ending was more than we expected. Fabian Gerber took the victory, and really that wasn't the exciting bit. Phil Lake behind him in second, ahead of Jamie Hall in third. Jamie unfortunately getting some damage, which dropped him from P2. And Nick Schneider, who had all kinds of fun out on track. We'll see what he thinks if he comes to talk to us. As he took fourth, but he had a little bit of contact on the last lap with both Tobias Gerber and Nick Mukanos, but it was John Keefe who finished in sixth behind them, with Joseph Mudrack in seventh, and Mukanos gets dropped to eighth, last on the lead lap because of all the chaos. Hideki Koivisto was ninth, and Pablo Suarez was 10th. Then it's Jacob Leon in P11, followed by Martin Krejcik in 12th, and Fabian Jungbluth in 13th. Fonseca was 14th, and the rest of our GTPs were either way far down or DNFs.
Yuko Leskala took a pretty uncontested win today with Ove Trangeri coming home in second place, just over Yoni Kaijin, who had a misshift coming out of 11, unfortunately ending his competition for that second position. Reed Miller, very consistent, very clean machine, coming home in fourth place today, with Christian Streitenberger, trial by fire in his first GTO race, I believe, but comes home in the fifth position, so nothing to sneeze at all. Ben Lafter's going to come home in sixth, ahead of Max Mayday Thomason and Kike Mengwal, as well as Dominic Bureau. All of those drivers very, very heavily battling for those top 10 positions. Jamie Hamill-Smith grasping the last of the top 10. Brian Shanahan's going to come home in 11th today, with Devin Donne, a really rough day for him, unfortunately, coming home in the 12th position, with Mike Tupola coming home in 13th, a good recovery after his early wreck, with Jonathan Main coming home in 14th, David Nichols 15th, Robin Haypitch and Robin Pawlowski, our first drivers who had big problems, and the rest of the drivers on your screen wrecked out today.
We've got our winner and the prototypes ready to talk to us, Fabian Gerber, as he takes win number 3 on the season. Fabian, you had a few nervous moments. It looked like the traffic just kind of cost you a little bit of time here and there.
Yes, sometimes it costs a little bit of time. But there wasn't too much bad things. There was just 3 situations, I think. One driver was a bit all over the place at times, so that was difficult. But all in all, it's just the track that sometimes just there's no space to overtake Audi, so you have to wait, and then you lose a lot of time. That's all the hard work gone then, and yeah, might be frustrating, but since I made it to the end and first, it's all good.
Well, since you had such a big gap by the end of it, I want to turn our focus maybe to the qualifying and you and your brother. Once again, you locked out the front row, but it seems like Tobias just can't seem to quite repeat your performances in the race. I mean, what do you think the difference is between you and your brother that you can continue to win and he's still looking for that one?
We talk a lot about driving and techniques and about the car. I think it's just confidence. He doesn't have the confidence in the race as he has in the qualifying. So I think that's quite all. And today was especially difficult for him because his force feedback somehow didn't work as it should. So he probably had some not a good feeling to drive. So that's maybe a reason today he was a bit slower than expected.
Speaking of the force feedback, this is obviously one of the bumpiest tracks we have on iRacing. What do you do to try to get this Nissan compliant over those bumps?
It's just the most important thing is to be easy on the throttle and the brakes. So I don't really push the pedal too hard, too quickly. So doing everything smoothly is important. In general, I think this track is, you can say smooth is fast. That's the most important thing.
Well, regardless, congratulations on win number 3. This is going to extend your points lead, and hopefully we'll see you at Barcelona in a week's time.
Yes, I will be there for the first time in Barcelona. See you next week.
Great stuff there from Fabian Gerber. Up next, Adam has caught up with Ben Lafter, 6th here today in the GTOs.
Yeah, Ben, honestly, considering all the chaos that was going on track, excellent job today with your drive. But talk to me about this battle that we're seeing actually on screen right now. Lap 13 between yourself to Thomason, Pawlowski, and Streitenberger. That seemed very intense.
I assume that's when all 4 of us were in turn 3 at the same time, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that was I was just looking for opportunities. There was plenty of traffic. Traffic was a serious contributor to all the action today, and not in a bad way necessarily. It's just the nature of the course. But yeah, that gave me the opportunity I was looking for, and I remember getting one of them, but I don't think I got the other. I don't know. I got to slow my heart down, go back and watch a replay or two, and figure out what just happened. All I know is I'm smiling. I had a good time.
It seemed like definitely a test of survival for everyone out there today. How difficult was it navigating all this traffic? Because we had a lot of hungry GTPs out there today.
This joint, I mean, coming into a race here, you're racing the track, right? You try to get position on the guys around you, but you're racing the track. You're racing those walls. And so he who keeps it clean, he who keeps it out of the wall does well. But then when the faster class comes through and I mean, it's such a narrow track. It's harder to me than Long Beach because it's such a narrow track, and so there's nowhere to go. If you're an off the pace back marker, or if you're, just trying to make it through as a Nissan, it's really difficult for either class to put themselves in a smart place. And so things happen, and it's just really hard. You just got to have a swivel, head on a swivel.
Absolutely, Ben. And aside from those, aside from the traffic and the hard battles, what else do you think about your performance today? Is this a race you're happy with? Do you think survival was what you were looking for today?
Really wanted to get up there and fight with Reed, but I qualified poorly. I smacked the wall on the second qualifying lap and would have started right alongside Reed. I was 4/10 up, and I would have started right there. And I think Reed and I could have had a good fight today, but I lost so much time against him, working my way from 10th to 6th. And I wish he and I could have fought today. I think we would have had a good show.
Yeah, Reed was pretty lonely there in the 4th position, but I think he was happy with that as well. But Ben, fantastic finish today. Great to see you up at the booth once again. And is there anyone you want to thank for your top 10 finish today?
I want to thank Christian for showing up this week. Last week we had Leonardo show up, and he was quick out of the box. Christian today, I don't think I've ever seen that name before, and he put on a pretty good clinic at the end there. I couldn't catch him, so good to see him. Good to race him.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Ben. We look forward to seeing you next week at Barcelona.
See you there.
That was Ben Laftar, 6th place finisher in the GTOs, and Joe is caught up with Phil Lake, who finished 2nd in the GTPs.
Indeed. And Phil, it looked like a good start. You immediately jump up into 3rd, then kind of running your own thing, and you had a little bit of trouble from behind. How much damage did you get from Guy?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The damage-wise, I think the time loss was obviously bad, but I got past Tobias off the line, and I really struggled to get in a rhythm early because I was a little bit close to Jamie, and it's really hard to follow in the Nissans. So I kind of dropped back off of him a little bit to try and find some rhythm, but I just had no luck in the traffic. I'm sure everybody feels the same, but it was really tough.
Now, eventually you were able to overtake your teammate. I was a bit surprised that he fought you so hard, especially because he seemed to be suffering from some damage as well. Were you in communication at all? Did you know he had damage? And were you surprised that he fought hard?
No, we don't talk to each other during these races. We usually do in the week and in the Friday race, but we tend to be a little bit more focused on the Saturday race. I knew he had some damage because I caught him quite quickly. And I don't know. I kind of expected him to defend it. Just, maybe he thought he could just deter me enough that I would figure that he wasn't that badly damaged, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't anything surprising to me.
So a 2nd place. When are you going to get that elusive win here in the prototypes?
Still the focus is just consistency. It's been a pretty rough season moving over back to the GTP again, so I'm happy with 2nd. A little bit disappointed with my race overall because I clipped a wall early on and gave myself some damage, which is kind of stupid. So just progressing forward is the key thing. Maybe pick up a win next season, hopefully. So we'll see.
Eyes always forward. Well, congratulations on a podium, Phil, and can't wait to see you at Barcelona.
Yep, thanks, guys.
It was Phil Lake, 2nd place in the prototypes today. Finally, our 6th place in the prototypes is John Keefe, and Adam has caught up with him.
Absolutely, John. Very consistent drive for me today. You were actually one of the most clean cars on the track by the end of it. Talk to me about your experience today, especially through the traffic today.
Pretty much it was a walk in the park on a sunny day. I think I only had 2 kind of iffy situations. One with Ben. I made a really stupid pass on Ben Laughter, so apologies to him on that. No contact or anything. It was just a bad timing deal. And then I came out of the 1-2 chicane and ran right up on the back of a guy I thought was going to move over to the other side. But outside of those 2 situations, it was pretty straightforward. Really enjoyable race. Looking forward to watching how chaotic it was on the broadcast, though.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some highlight moments to be sure.
I bet.
But John, talk to me about battling with battling as the faster class among the Audi GTOs, and especially at a narrow, winding track like this with no runoff. How much does that raise the blood pressure going into those corners when you know that you're going to be catching up to the slower class while you're battling with your fellow people in your class?
I think if the blood pressure starts to rise a little too much, that's when mistakes happen, and maybe you get a little too antsy and do something that maybe isn't ideal. So just kind of trying to read it as you're coming up to it, and just remaining calm and just kind of sticking to a plan. So if you're going to show one side or the other to the GTO, just stick to that, and hopefully they are reading out and everything works out well. I would like to say that I hope we get a few more street courses in iRacing, because this is hands down my favorite type of racing to do with this series especially. It's just nonstop action.
Absolutely. This and Long Beach have been absolutely amazing to watch. Next week, though, we head to something completely different, Barcelona. What are your thoughts heading into that track?
I haven't even I don't think I even have purchased Barcelona yet. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well, hopefully we'll see you there, John. But is there anyone you want to thank for your 6th place finish today?
Just all the regular guys, all the guys coming in, giving us a shot and doing their best to keep it clean. Just the series in general. It's great. Great bunch of guys to race with.
Absolutely, John. Well, it's been a while. It's great to talk to you again, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully next week.
You too. Thanks, buddy.
That was John Keefe finishing 6th place in the GTPs today. Back to you, Joe.
That's going to wrap up our interviews. So we want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT series for bringing us on for another season of coverage. As you can tell, we have a lot of fun with the vintage series. We got one more up this weekend with the Lotus 79 and a special announcement, don't forget, coming on Monday about them. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you'd like to support us, make sure and check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. If you don't want to type that in, we got a link in the description below. As we mentioned, heading off to Spain for the next round. Barcelona will be on February 14th, next Saturday at noon Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Next up on the channel is going to be the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series at Nashville, one of the newer tracks here on iRacing. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.